Hello, I'm Jonathan Cameron, and I want to introduce you to version 3.0 of Attachments, a new version for Joomla 1.6, 1.7, and later. The purpose of the Attachments extension is to allow you to attach files and URLs to Joomla articles and other types of content such as categories. An earlier version of Attachments, 2.2, works with Joomla 1.5, but will not work with Joomla 1.6. This version works with the new 1.6 and 1.7 versions of Joomla. It includes some new and improved functionality that will make attachments a flexible and powerful addition to Joomla 1.6 and beyond. You may download the attachments extension from the joomlacode.org website. You can find details by visiting the extensions area in the joomla.org website and searching for attachments, or by doing a web search for Attachments 3 for Joomla. Here's the URL for Attachments 3 project area on the joomlacode.org website. Note that there's two separate areas on joomlacode.org for attachments. One for the 2x series for Joomla 1.5 and another for the newer 3x series for Joomla 1.6 and up. First, let's install it. Although the Attachments extension includes a component and several plugins, the installation package installs everything for you all at once. Let's go on to the extension manager to install it. Okay, let's find it. Here it is. And we'll install it. Might take a minute, but it'll install. If you have any difficulties with the installation, uninstall it and try it again. Notice that the extension enables all of its plugins for you automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's see how it works. Once the attachments extension is installed, you can add attachments on the front end or in the administrative back end. Let's start on the front end. So let's go to the front end here. All right. First, we need to refresh the page. Excellent. If you're logged in on the front page as I am here, you'll now see red Add Attachments link below each article that you have permission to modify, since adding attachments to an article is a form of editing the article. So let's add an attachment to this welcome article. All right. Okay, I'm going to upload this file. And I'm going to say upload. Okay. Now you notice that the attachment is kind of grayed out. Well, that's because it's not published yet. The reason is that the default settings require that the new attachments be approved by an administrator before they're published. So let's go to the back end and do that. And we'll go to the Components menu, and there's a new menu item for attachments. So we'll click on that. And here you have the attachments area in the back end. And it has the usual kind of controls, which we'll talk a bit more about later. But here's the attachment we just added. And you'll notice here that it isn't published. So we'll do that. There we go. So now let's go back to the front end and refresh. Okay, now it looks normal. And we can open the attachment or download the attachment by clicking on it. In this case, it's an image, and it just opens it up. So let's go back. You can also edit the attachment by clicking on the little pencil icon here that's by the attachment, if you have permission to edit it. We could actually update the file, change the file, or replace it with some other file, and we change the display name, the name that's actually shown, although the link goes to the real file. And we can also do something here. Let's see, Congo. All right, we're going to update it. You'll notice here that the update happens pretty quickly. Besides creating, editing, and deleting attachments from the front page as I've shown here, one of the really handy features in attachments is the ability to do the same kind of operations in the article editor. So let me show you how that works. Go over here and let's edit this article on the front end. And you'll notice here down below the editing area, there's the list of attachments. And I can edit or delete or add new attachments by using this button down here. And once you've made those changes, you can, if you've edited your article, obviously save, but if you've only done attachments, you can just do cancel, and that's fine too, because the updates are happening without affecting the article itself. Another nice feature is that you can add attachments to articles you're creating. However, if you cancel creating the article without deleting the attachment first, the attachment's orphaned. But there's an easy way to find and delete orphaned attachments in the back end. So let's go back to the back end and see how it works. The buttons that are available here allow you to do various things to manage your attachments. You can create new attachments or edit existing attachments, publish and unpublished attachments, delete attachments, and then there's options here to control how the attachments extension works. And there's also some utility commands which are described in the help page, which is next. This is a very important one for you to notice here, this help page. You should be aware of that. Let's start here by changing the option that allows attachments to be published automatically. I don't recommend this as a system policy, but it'll make these demonstrations a little simpler. Okay, so we have a bunch of options here. There's a basic tab for some basic kind of options. There's tabs, a formatting tab for options that control the appearance of the attachments. And then there's a tab for options that control on which pages the attachments are visible, and some advanced options here, some security related options, and permissions, which we'll talk about in a bit. So our goal here was to set the auto publish options. So let's go to the basic option, and we'll click here, attachments published by default. Oh yes, notice here that if you hover over the label in any of these options, it gives you a little bit of a help message about them, and some are a bit more extended. So we're going to select yes, and then we're going to save and close here. And you can also add attachments using the article editor, which works very similarly to the one on the front end. If you edit this article, you'll see here down below the editing area, there's the list of attachments where you can add new attachments using the button or edit these as you wish. So let's go back to the attachments area. I want to point out a few things here. You can sort the list of attachments by clicking on the column headers, and you can also limit the ones that are shown by filtering, and you can click on this clear button to get rid of that filtering. And if you want to revert to the normal order, you can reset the order using this button. You can also limit which types of parents for the articles are shown, including articles with no parents, the ones that orphaned, so you can find them easily and deal with them. And you can limit your list of attachments to attachments or articles or categories, or if other types of things are supported, they would be listed there as well. And finally, let's in the back here, let's take a look at this help page. Pops up in a separate page, so let's open it up just a little bit. Now there's a few sections that you really should take a look at and read, especially if you haven't used attachments before. There's a section on uploading restrictions. I encourage you to take a look at that to help you understand some of the limitations on the types of files you can upload and how to change those limitations. There's this detailed section on the options here, attachment settings, that you should read through, especially, again, if you're new to attachments. There's a lot of details about the various options, including some new ones. So I encourage you to read through those. There's also a very helpful section on the permissions here, attachments permissions, that describes how the new Joomla permission systems works with attachments. This includes how to configure permissions to achieve some common scenarios, such as allowing authors to publish their own attachments, or allowing authors to edit and delete their own attachments but no one else's. So I encourage you to read through that section. There's also a section with the links to the web page on how to migrate your attachments to from 1.5 to 1.6, and you'll probably want to take a look at that if you're migrating attachments. And if you look at the very end here, that's my contact info. But there's a lot of other things here, and I do encourage you to definitely at least take a look through the table of contents here. So there's several useful new features in version 3 of attachments for Joomla 1.6 and beyond, and I want to talk about those briefly. One of the most important features is the way attachment uses the improved ACL or permission system in Joomla 1.6. So let's take a quick look at that. Go to the options page here and click on the permissions tab, and you'll see some permissions, and some of these are kind of your basic kinds of permissions, but there's several custom permissions that allow you a little more fine-grained control on who's able to create, edit, or delete attachments or change their state. But before I go on, I want to repeat an important point here that you need to understand, and that's that adding, editing, and deleting attachments is a form of editing the parent article. So in order for you to do anything to an attachment, you must have permission to edit the parent article first. Another important improvement in version 3 is the full use of the improved Joomla access levels to control who can see and download an attachment. So let's edit an attachment so you can see this. You'll notice here that you can control the access here. The access levels are kind of familiar in a way, but they're also more flexible now in 1.6. There's public, which means that anybody can see the attachment whether they're logged in or not. And then there's registered, which means that anybody who's registered and logged in can see the attachment or download it. And then others. The exciting thing here is that you can set that attachment access level to any of the new access levels you created, and it's a very flexible system now. This ability means you can set up custom access levels to carefully control who sees certain attachments. This could be used to provide limited access materials to specific groups of users. The ability to set the access levels for each attachment gives you a huge amount of flexibility control over who can see and download attachments. All right. And I also want to mention that the attachment extension also gives you a flexible way to control which pages your attachments are visible on. Let's just take a quick look at that too. We go to this visibility tab, and you can control that the attachments are visible or not visible on the front page, or certain blog pages. You can also select any combination of categories for the attachments to not be visible on. There's various other new features, but a feature that site administrators will certainly appreciate is that Attachments has an update server that supports doing updates using the Joomla Update Manager, so that'll make everyone's life a little easier. Don't forget that there are forums for help and frequently asked questions on the Joomla Code site for Attachments 3. Go to the same project page I mentioned earlier and click on the Forums link in the left column. Please post questions on the Help forum and not the Frequently Asked Questions forum. Thank you very much for watching this screencast. I hope that the new version of Attachments will be helpful to you. I'm Jonathan Cameron. If you want to contact me, my email address is jmcameron@jmcameron.net.